right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast. We have our guest here, Cassandra Forsythe. Cassandra, how you doing today?
I'm good.
And it's funny, we finally made this all work. We had all the technical difficulties earlier, but it was destined to happen. So Chris and I are very, very excited to interview you today. So thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we like to get our episodes going by kind of getting, an understanding of who our guest is and, telling your story. So if you want to tell us who you are, what you do, and what your story is, that'd be great.
Okay, so I am an assistant professor of exercise science at Central Connecticut State University. So I hold my PhD both in exercise science and nutrition. I did a 12-year, journey of bachelor's, master's, and PhD straight. I started college when I was 17 and I finished when I was 29. I'm 37 now. I have a daughter. She's 6. I'm divorced. I'm getting remarried though, to not my ex-husband. Clarifying. And I guess I'm sort of a female fitness professional in the sense that I'm an author. I do a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of writing for articles online. I'm asked to write books. Actually, I was just contacted in December by Rodale, by 2 different publishing parts of Rodale to write 2 new books. And I just wrapped up a book this summer with Rodale for a weight loss book, and I was the diet and exercise expert in that. So awesome. I kind of have a unique background because I'm both a dietitian and I'm a trainer. I also have owned my own business, and I'm from Canada, so if I say things a little weird, that's why. But I'm originally from Canada, and now I live in Connecticut. So I've been in Connecticut now for 13 years, and I lived in Canada for 22 or 24 years. So it's been a journey.
That's a heck of a resume. It is. Now, would you say maybe looking back 20 years ago, you would have, sat here today and said, like, this is exactly what I was kind of destined to do or what I planned out to do with, like, everything you're doing right now as far as being an author, a writer, assistant professor, everything like that?
So not 20 years ago, but 15 years ago, yes. But 20 years ago, so I was thinking that I was 17, 20 years ago, just finishing high school. And I thought at the time I wanted to be a corporate sales manager because I was very good at sales. I worked in the health food store and I worked in retail, and I was really good at selling things. Like, I was always top sales, and because I wanted to be the best at everything I did. So that was just so I thought, okay, I'll go into business. And then when I got to college in the fall, I took my first economics class, and I thought it was the most horrible class I've ever taken, and all the other business stuff. And it just wasn't my thing. And I always loved nutrition and I loved exercise. So I wanted to go in the field of dietetics. And then I knew once I went further down after I did my bachelor's and I thought it was just going to be an RD, I sat down with one of my professors when I was 21, 22 years old. So about 15 years ago. And he said, where do you want to be? Like, what do you want to do with your life? And no one had really asked me that. Like, I just knew I went to school to do because I liked and I wanted to study nutrition. And so now when I talk to my students today, because I'm a professor, I ask them, where do you want to be when you're older? Like, what do you want to do with your life? Don't just go to school and take classes you're interested in, like, figure out how that's going to make a career. So I said to this professor back then, I said, well, I really admire all my professors in college. Like, I love being in school, as nerdy as that sounds. And he's like, okay, well, you need to go do your PhD. And at that time I was in a bachelor's, and I was like, okay. So I wrote a grant that summer or that spring, and I got a grant to fund my entire master's. And so I started that summer, and I did a really intricate master's research. And then from there, I wanted to figure out where I was going to do my PhD. I contacted John Berardi. He told me about like different programs. I met with him, networked with a bunch of people, and did a PhD. And now I'm here. Like, I just started teaching as a professor 2.5 years ago, but first I opened a gym. So 20 years ago, no, I didn't know what I was doing. But I knew that it was going to be something, but not till like 15 years ago did I really know that this was a path. And it took 15 years, which some people think is scary, but it's pretty cool what I do now.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah, that's definitely, it's quite the journey. So my next question is, you talked about the whole gym thing, that you were a previous gym owner. So what was the driving force behind that, and why did you stop with the whole gym thing?
Okay. So when I got out of my PhD, I mean, like I said, I was in for 12 years, and it was a lot of school, and I was just really sick of academia. So I finished my PhD, and I didn't really have a plan, and I ended up actually, I found out I was pregnant right away when I was when I was graduating from my PhD, and that was like not the plan. I was like, no. So my husband and I at the time, I was trying to figure out, okay, like what can I do? And I was doing some training. I was like, what can I do so I can be home with our daughter and not, just stick her in daycare her whole life. So I was like, well, I've always wanted to own my own business. And so I started really small by subleasing out of a friend's facility. And I just started growing and growing like crazy. And the reason why I wanted to do a gym, because I was always a gym rat, and I still am. Like I'm like wearing yoga pants. Okay. Like, and I teach in these clothes sometimes too. Like I show up in yoga pants for class, and like, that's just my life. Like I wear sneakers all the time, and I'm always lifting weights. And I'm like, even when I was a young kid, I was in gymnastics, and I'd come home and I'd like flex for my dad and be like, check out my biceps, and I've got pretty good biceps now. So my profile picture on Facebook will tell you that. But I just always wanted to do that. And it was kind of like, if you build it, they will come. So I just like jumped right in, and I was like, I can build exactly what I'd want a gym to look like. And I did it. And I first started with a 2,000 square foot facility after I moved out of the place I'm subleasing from. Quickly, within a year and a half, I moved to a 4,000 square foot facility. And then I sold it. So I did it for 5 years, and I'll tell you why I did that in a second, because I think that was one of your next questions or something. But it was the reason why I got into being a gym owner is because it was something I've always wanted to do, and I totally loved the fitness lifestyle, and I thought I could do it better than what was already out there. And so I did, and I did it really well. But then I stopped.
So what was the reason you did sell it, though?
Okay, so it's because it was financial and personal. So while I had my gym, I don't know if it was like necessarily the destruction of my marriage, but I went through my divorce while I had my gym. And my ex-husband said to me that I loved my gym and my gym clients more than I loved him. And that was really hard to hear. And I've changed a lot since then. So that sort of broke me, and I'll totally admit that kind of broke me. And I loved my clients and I loved what I did, but when him and I separated, I couldn't run the gym alone financially. I wasn't making enough to support me. I didn't have medical benefits, and I had my daughter. And the hours of the gym, it was the morning that I had to take my daughter to my neighbor's house. I lived in a condo after my ex-husband and I split. I had to take her to my neighbor's house at 4:30 in the morning to sleep on her couch while I went and taught classes at 5 o'clock till 7 o'clock, and then come home, get her ready for school, and take her to school. And I was like, that's when I knew I wasn't really mother of the year. So I couldn't do it. So I was like, I got to figure out something else. And I luckily got a emergency hire position at UConn, University of Connecticut, as a full-time professor while I owned my business. And then once I got back in academia, I was like, this is what I need to do. And then I pursued a tenure track, and I got that right away. And now I'm on a tenure track position at Central Connecticut State University. So the reason I got out was because the gym wasn't making me enough money, and I'm not saying it can't, but it wasn't for me. And then the hours were just not conducive to being a single mom. So if I had I know there's a lot of parents that run gyms, and one spouse will go to the gym and the other stays home, or the kids come with them, but I couldn't do that anymore. So it became what I needed to do for myself and my family.
Right. Yeah. And really quick, I just want to just interject on that. I think that's really awesome, though, that you kind of went through that, because I'm a big believer in going through different assignments in life. I don't think that we're all just kind of just meant to just do one thing, but some people might be, and that I respect that. But it sounds like you tried that, to be a gym owner. That wasn't the assignment that you want to do going forward. So that was just part of your journey. That was maybe a couple chapters in your book that you were just like, okay, I tried out the gym thing, but it just wasn't for me. And my true calling and, the gifts that I can give away is in academia. So I just thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and actually two of the classes I teach are related to my gym. So one of my courses is organization and management of fitness facilities. So I actually teach my students how to put together their own business plan and how to create their own business if that's what they'd like to do, and then manage that business. And then my other class is group leadership and fitness. So I used to teach large group training. So now I actually teach my students how to do it, and then how to go out and be a group fitness instructor, on a different level than just like Zumba or something, but like how I used to do it. So it actually was pretty cool that what I did as my sort of other career really helps this career because it's very applicable. So I'm one of those professors that actually did it, not just as reading it out of a book to them.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. And I really appreciate you sharing that story with us. So what was the biggest lesson you learned in those 5 years of being a gym owner?
Well, there's a couple different lessons. So lesson number one is don't work with your friends. Or don't start a business with your friends. You have to wear a management hat, and you can't let friendships get in the middle of that. So I had a girl that came into my gym after I had built it, and I put all my money into it, and we fast became friends. And I let our friendship overlook what the business needed, and it ended up destroying us as any friends. We don't even speak now. So, and I've heard of that from numerous business owners, like never start a business with a friend. So, if you're going to have someone in your business, you can be friendly with that person, but there has to be that line between this is business. Like you need to pay me rent. I will pay you this amount. You have to do this for the business. I'm doing that for the business. There can't be this, oh, we're so happy friends, because businesses ruin friendships. So that was one big thing. And then the other one was it's just the connections you make with people. So the connections I made with my clients, I knew everybody's name in the gym, and everyone complimented me on this. I knew everyone's name in the gym. I knew something about them. I knew where they worked. I knew where they were, like, which classes they were in last week and how they did. I remembered their weights. And I apply that now to my classroom, that I know all my students' names. I encourage them to come talk to me all the time. I know something about them. And I find it that personal touch that makes you better as a teacher, an instructor, a coach, whatever it is. So those are two big things I learned.
Absolutely. Those are great. So you've written 2 books. Let's kind of shift towards, let's shift the gears there. You've written 2 books. Oh, 3. Okay. Gotcha.
And maybe 2 more.
Right on. I think that's, 2, 3, even right now, that's quite a bit. So that says a lot. But what was kind of like your intentions? What motivated you to write those books?
So I'll say I got really lucky. So the first book was The New Rules of Lifting and for Women. And Lou Schuler actually reached out to me because I was very well known in the fitness industry. I used to write for T Nation, and I was a T Vixen at one time in my 20s. I mean, maybe I'm still one now, but no one's looking at me anymore like that. But so I was a T Vixen, and I had interacted with Lou Schuler, John Barty, and a bunch of people at different conferences. And Lou had randomly reached out to me because I was doing my PhD at UConn, with Dr. Volek, who Lou had wrote the Testosterone Advantage Plan with. And he reached out to me and he said, would you like to write The New Rules of Lifting for Women? And I looked at the email at first, and I sat on it, I think, for a day or two. And I was like, was this a joke? Is this really a joke? And then I replied to him, and I was like, yeah, that sounds really cool. Let's do it. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to have you co-author it. And so he did the majority of the writing, and I helped him fill in all the female content. And I did the nutrition plan. And then Alan Cosgrove did the workout plan. So that was cool. But while I was writing that book, Adam Campbell, who I started working with for Men's Health, he referred me to Women's Health, who was looking to write their very first diet book. So they brought me down to New York City. They said, we want to write a new diet book. And I said, I don't know what you're going to write a diet book of, because there's like a million of them. And then I came up with an idea using glucomannan, which is a fiber that we were researching at UConn, and wrote the book on that. And so that was in 2007. And so it's almost 10 years ago that this happened. And in that time, I rode the wave of those books. But I recently, just last year, had Rodale reach out to me again. We just finished a book for Rodale, and now I have 2 more books on the pipe that we're writing outlines for. So, and my advice for that is the reason why people reach out to me is because I have my PhD and I'm an RD, and that I write a lot and my name's out there. So a lot of people want to write books, but you have to have that education to back you up, because they want experts writing books. Mm-hmm. So that's my advice for people that want to do it. So what pushed me, and actually I wrote those 2 books while doing my dissertation for my PhD all at the same time, and getting married. So I'm a little crazy, so I work a lot. Maybe less now, but then I worked a lot.
Yeah, that's amazing though. So you're basically an author. You've had your own gym. You've been featured in a lot of big name magazines. You're an assistant professor. You've received a ton of awards. You've had your own gym. How do you stay, within that mindset of just saying, oh, I've made it. I don't need to really stay hungry or hustle anymore. So how do you stay in that the mindset of like, I still have to hustle. I'm still hungry to do more?
It's a different hunger now. So with the age of Instagram and social media, there are so many Instagram stars. Like anybody could like put a like shirtless photo or like bikini bottom photo, and you're now all of a sudden a fitness professional. So where I'm hustling is in the academic and professional side of things, because that's what separates me ahead of most people in the fitness industry. And I'm not saying that with any conceited tone, but I just know it for a fact that I put 12 years of my life into education and research. And I did some serious research when I was in my master's and my PhD, like blood and biopsies and spit and urine and gross stuff in the lab. And I did that stuff. And I'm one of those people that I can use science to back up with what I'm saying. And I can also use personal experience. I've been lifting for 20 years, and my body is not perfect in the sense that I have a spondylolisthesis. I'm hypermobile, a flat feet. I have a scoliosis in my spine. I've trained through massive deficiencies in my body in a sense, and I'm still really strong and really muscular. And I've seen what can work really well for women, for people that have hypermobility, and use that knowledge plus the science to back up with what I give as recommendations or suggestions to people. But always keeping in mind that, as you get older from experience, that everybody's different and there isn't one answer for everybody. So all you can do is give suggestions and say, these are some tools that you can use that will probably work very well for you. And you're going to have to figure out how you're going to use those tools. It can be this way or that way. Like, it's a hammer, but you could do other things with that hammer, but it will still help you get results and build your mansion, but it doesn't have to be the way I built it. Right. And that's what I think some people fall short of, is realizing that we are all different, and that, these cookie cutter plans, cookie cutter programs, they're just tools, but you can use them in any different way you want. They're not meant to be just one thing for one person or one thing for everybody. They need to be, specified for each person just a little bit, or allowed flexibility depending on people's lifestyles.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's great too. I have a huge respect for when somebody keeps their integrity, and it's so easy nowadays to just kind of fall off that wagon with all the just the quick fixes, the easy routes to quote unquote success. So I think that's great that you stuck to who you are. You knew your core values, and you just never kind of went off that shortcut route. So that's really great. And then also too, my next question would be in the journey of being an entrepreneur and an educator, what has been the biggest surprise that you've noticed?
So, I find it surprising that people are becoming entrepreneurs and experts with very little background. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long, long time, and I've seen fads come and go. And I'm not as old as some of my peers that have been seen even more than I have, but I respect that they're fads and there are phases, and that things will just come and go, and so you have to be able to. These people that think that you just can stay the same way and never change is not going to happen. So you have to figure out how you can bend and mold to the different changing circumstances around you. Like now we're adopting to different social media practices and different platforms. Like I don't even know all the things that people use. Like, my students, I'd say to them, are you on Facebook? Or like, who's on Facebook? Like everyone's on Instagram or whatever. I don't know what else is out there. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm old. But, so just, I think, like I said, the quick success that some people are having with very little like background to that, like without really a lot behind them. Like even when I was writing for T-Nation, it was while I was doing my master's. So I had at least a bachelor's education. I wasn't just like straight out of high school with camera and I was like, whoa, look at me. I can jump on a box or whatever these guys do on Instagram. Like, else, I can bench. So there was more to it than that.
Yeah, gotcha. That's true. I'm very fascinated on people's lifestyles. I know Eric is too. So what does your first, say 60 to 120 minutes of your day look like? This could be a morning routine. What does your wind down routine look like? Basically just walk us through a day in the life of Cassandra. And we're talking all details.
Okay. Well, it depends on because I'm a divorce, I don't have my daughter every morning. So on mornings that, even if I do have her every morning, when I get up, first thing I do is I take all my supplements. So I have supplements I take on an empty stomach. So like adrenal and dopamine supplements like Dopatone by Apex. So I take things for mood and for energy, I guess, in a sense. And then either free amino acids, I take like lysine for immunity. So I always take my supplements. That's like the first thing I do in the morning. And then it's just like really getting ready. Like I don't have a lot, but now that when I have my daughter around, it's like getting her out the door, and she's really spacey like me. Sometimes I'm like, you need to focus, put your shoes on. Like that's what it was this morning. It's different. Like when people don't have kids, it's hard to like understand, like it's not all about you anymore. But even when it was just about me, my big thing in the morning was, like I said, take my supplements, drink water, have a shower, eat breakfast. Or if I was going to the gym, I always go to the gym fasted after I take my supplements. And I drink branch chains when I train. But I'm training less in the morning now. I find I was getting like too much adrenal fatigue. And I train in the afternoon. I find I'm a lot stronger too. In the morning, sometimes I'm like not even like neurologically awake. So I like go to like press something and I'm like, this is not happening. So so my day usually looks like, I don't know, it's different because I can work at home some days and sometimes I go to school. So get school, if I'm teaching, I eat. It's usually revolved around eating, reading, and lifting. That's pretty much my whole day.
Gotcha.
And time with my fiance. So we like, he lifts too, and we I don't know, that's kind of our life is lifting. And now I just got addicted to a TV show. So last night I watched TV for 2 hours, but that doesn't normally happen. Normally I'm like always cleaning or organizing or doing something in my house.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. That's why I asked these lifestyle questions, because everybody has different types of, wind down routines, morning routines, time they go to the gym, all those type of things. So yeah, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so my next question, if you had a billboard and this billboard could say any message that you wanted to the world, what would that message say and why?
I like this question. You said this to me, so I thought of this one. It would be your own superhero. Because like we all look up to people as idols, or, people you admire, and be the person you want to admire. So in a sense, be your own superhero. One of my biggest superheroes is my father. My mom didn't work, my dad worked, so he supported our whole family. He worked a ton. He was very smart. He always encouraged me to read and encouraged me to have good grades. And he was just a great person. And so he is one of my role models. And that may sound weird because it's my dad and not my mom, but I just like super look up to my father, and I actually went to the same university as my dad. And his picture was on the wall when I'd walk through the hallways, and I was like, oh, there's my dad. And so anyway, it was just like looking up to people. So like I said, be your own superhero.
I like that, and I could resonate with that too. Our father passed away 13 years ago, but he was like the sole provider of our family. I mean, he's the one that motivated us and everything. So, yeah, that would probably be our superhero. But I love that message, though. Be your own superhero. Yeah. So we're going to shift gears now. We're going to go into what we call rapid dynamic questions. So kind of like rapid fire questions. Are you ready for that?
So quick answers.
Right? Well, they can be quick answers. I'm not going to put any type of pressure on you. What are you doing currently self-development wise right now?
Reading how to be a better professor, crucial conversations. So I'm in a new relationship, like I said, with my fiance, and he's divorced and I'm divorced. So we're both looking at, we failed in the past. So we're looking at how to have better conversations together. And we're also going to counseling. So it's personal stuff, like in terms of like my relationships with other people. So I've been very good at pushing myself. Now I don't want to push people away by pushing myself too much and not remembering that there's other people in my world that care about me.
Gotcha. So in terms of mentors, who were some of your big time mentors that were just like key to your success?
I would say all my professors, the ones that taught really well. When I went to the University of Alberta in Canada, and my professors there, like I still remember their names. Dr. Peter Sporn was my food chemistry professor, and he just had the coolest lectures. And now that I'm a professor, I'm trying to think of the ways that he engaged us in class. And then when I was at UConn, I got to study with Dr. Bill Kramer, who is like the father of strength conditioning. Mm-hmm. He was awesome, a really talented man who just never stopped working. And Dr. Volek was the same thing. He was amazing at his classes. He put so much effort into them. So I would definitely say my professors that were great teachers, they inspired me a lot. In the fitness industry, I would say like Rachel Cosgrove, Alan Cosgrove. I remember Rachel. Rachel spoke for the very first time with me at ISSN, She'd never actually been in a public speaking forum. And I was like, no, just come speak with me. We'll talk about why women should lift weights. And now she's like, she doesn't even remember who I am. I mean, she does, but she's exploded. So I really admire like what she's done to get to where she's gotten. And I know she's had to sacrifice a lot. So they're great people. Fitness consulting group. There's Pat Rigsby, Nick Barry. They help me a lot in my business. So those are kind of the people. And then the real people, the people who are in the trenches that are doing the work, that are like building and expanding their gyms or maybe downsizing to accommodate their families, whatever it may be. The people that are really doing it, those are the people I look up to as well.
Right. So what are you doing training nutrition-wise right now?
So I'm actually training with Brian Cron. He used to be editor of T Nation. Mm-hmm. You guys heard of him?
I know who he is, yeah.
Okay, so I got him to design my programs. I used to train like full body all the time, and then I went into bodybuilding a lot, and I love bodybuilding because I'm like a super meathead. Like I even have dumbbell tattoos on my body. That's how much of a meathead I am. So, and they're in a really like private place. Yes. So anyway, so I love bodybuilding, but I like having people try different programs with me. So Brian Cron is the person I've been training with lately, and lifting heavy. I was doing I had 6 easy chan for overhead press for seated shoulder press. I was doing 185 on bench. I don't squat a lot or deadlift a lot because of my back, but my upper body was getting like super jacked, and it was awesome. But my joints hate me now, so I have to take a break. So I'm doing a little bit more hypertrophy work and less strength work. And then nutrition-wise, yeah, I just eat. Like Brian's like, you got to start tracking your diet. I'm like, I know, but like I don't want to. I know how to eat well. I mean, I know so much about nutrition. It's always like make sure I have protein, carbs, and some fat. So like this morning I had grits with steel cut oats mixed together, because I don't like just oats. They just don't do it for me. 2 eggs and pea protein mixed in there because I don't use any whey protein. And then amazing grass and fish oil. Like that was my breakfast. Like it's pretty healthy. And I had Twizzlers. Not going to admit, I'm not going to deny, but I do like candy and chocolate. So I have Hershey's Kisses in my desk at work, and I eat chocolate every day. Yes.
I've never heard that combination of that breakfast, but that sounds pretty pretty cool.
All mixed together, it was like a bunch of weird.
We're gonna have to put that in the show notes. What's one thing that you would like to let go of right now?
Self-doubt. I don't have like the greatest self-esteem or self-image of myself, which is weird. Like I've done a lot and I'm very accomplished and I have a good physique and I'm strong and I'm a good person, but I don't know if it's a female thing or I think that might be the thing that's pushed me though, is like the fact that I'm always trying to be better. So I want to let go of the doubt though and know that I am good and like I am good enough and I can be better, but I'm still good now. So yeah, hopefully letting go of self-doubt will be the thing that will happen soon.
Yeah. So a little more self-love too.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, one of your questions is like one of the hardest things I ever did. I don't know if that's coming up. No, that was before, but like my divorce was probably the hardest thing I ever did. Like, so I did my PhD. That was really hard. My master's super hard, but my divorce was like the worst thing in the world. Like I literally did not make it through that almost. Mm-hmm. And then even closing my gym was like really wicked hard. But there's been these things that I've done that were so hard and I got past them. And what they taught me is that nothing is for certain. You always have to work for it, and you have to appreciate who you are because not everyone is going to love you the way you're going to love yourself. And that's okay because you have to give love back to get love. So, as long as you show really like love and caring for other people, you should get some of that back, but they may not love you to the same extent you do, but as long as you like yourself, you're good to go.
Right. I like that. Yeah. Okay. So what do you like to do for fun? And don't hold back on us.
I like mountain biking. I'm a super big mountain biker. I like hiking, walking my dogs. I like time with my fiance, and I love lifting weights and binge watching on TV shows that are like really like Game of Thrones. I had to watch that like all in like 2 weeks, like the whole like 7 whatever seasons it was. I can't remember. Yeah. So when I have time, I'll binge watch TV. So pretty much what I do for fun is work out and exercise.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. My next question. We actually just wrote a book titled The New Era of Fitness. Do you think that we are in a new era of fitness, and why?
Yes and no. Okay, so I say no because I think people are still looking for physique results. So, people are still bodybuilding. People are looking for six-pack abs. People are looking to look good in their clothing. Like, physique is always going to be a goal of fitness. I think yes, in that there's a lot more people being exposed to it and are interested in it with Instagram and Facebook and all. Like I feel like all I see on social media is fit people, and it's inspiring to other people to get that way. Mm-hmm. So I think physique is like probably one of the driving factors for fitness, and it always will be, no matter what people say about it. Like, no one really wants to be out of shape. Like, diet books are always going to sell, and fitness programs that promise like six-pack abs or perkier butts are always going to sell. People are vain, and we want that. And there's a lot of messages out there like, accept what you have, like women have cellulite and stretch marks and all this kind of stuff, but we still want to look the best version of ourselves.
Right.
And that's going to involve some sort of physique training. And that's okay, because having a healthier physique is also healthier for your entire system, cardiovascular, preventing cancer, mood, everything.
Right. I like that answer a lot. So before we ask the last question, I just want to take a moment to commend you. I know this is coming from the older brother with the big eyebrows too. And I know we've collaborated in the past. We've talked in the past, exchanged emails. We followed your work. We look up to a lot of the things that you've done in the past as far as writing your books, everything like that. So I just want to commend you and say thank you so much for everything that you put out there, just making the industry a better place and, bridging the gap between science and application. I really respect that. So I just want to say thank you so much for everything you do.
Appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last question is, what does it mean to you to live a dynamic lifestyle?
Dynamic is always changing. So changing for the situations that you may be in. So staying who you are, true to your core values, but knowing when to say, give away your gym, sell your gym if it's not working for your family, or maybe you're in a bad relationship and that's not the relationship that is good for you, or you have a friend in your life who's toxic. So dynamic mean changing. So change for what you need to do what's best for your life and your family.
Very well said. So where can our listeners find you and your work?
So I still contribute to Girls Gone Strong. I'm actually no longer part of the advisory board, but I do contribute still. I had to cut back on stuff I was doing. I'm quoted a lot in Men's Health and Women's Health. I'm in every major magazine, I think, this month. Oxygen, Muscle and Fitness, Hers, and Women's Health. I don't know, they quote me a lot. And my website, CassandraForsythe.com. I don't put a lot on there, but you can contact me through there. And then Facebook and Instagram. I'm trying to get used to Instagram. So I'm not used to it yet.
We got to get you on Snapchat soon.
Not do Snapchat. Like, I tried, and then my students were on there, and I was like, I can't talk to you guys like this. This is bad. So, yeah, no, maybe not yet.
Yeah. All right, Cassandra. So we'll have all of that plugged in the show notes. Again, I just want to say thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to us and our audience, and we will be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
Thanks, you too.
All right,
take care.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching the video. So below, I want you guys to subscribe to our community. From there, you guys can get your 2 guides on the Physique Development Guide, the Nutrition Myths Dispelled Guide, and join our community and get all access to everything else that we're giving out.